Hey, Janice. Janice, no, it's Joel.
Oh, Joel. Aimee, it's Ray.
It's Joel.
Joel, hey.
Hey! Your voice.
I'm so sorry. I heard.
Yeah, it's the first time it's happened. Yeah, a little. I had to fight a little.
Welcome to today's complete cinematic breakdown and narrative script of the phenomenal post-apocalyptic adventure film Love and Monsters, officially released worldwide in October 2020. This critically acclaimed science fiction adventure film was produced by Paramount Pictures in association with 21 Laps Entertainment and Entertainment One, helmed by the visionary director Michael Matthews, and written by screenwriters Brian Duffield and Matthew Robinson, with notable production backing from Sean Levy and Dan Cohen on an estimated budget of $30 million. The story takes place in a world turned entirely upside down, beginning with the voice of our central protagonist, Joel Dawson, who explains the peculiar and horrifying chain of events that led to the fall of human civilization 7 years prior. An asteroid named Agatha 616 was on a direct collision course with Earth, threatening utter extinction, which prompted the unified nations of the world to launch an overwhelming barrage of chemical-laden rockets and high-tech missiles into space to destroy the celestial threat before impact. The rockets succeeded in obliterating the incoming asteroid into harmless space dust, but the countless chemical compounds, radioactive fallout, and mutagenic toxins rained right back down onto Earth's atmosphere, soaking into every patch of soil and every body of water across the globe. Warm-blooded mammals like humans, dogs, and cats were completely immune to the chemical mutations, but cold-blooded organisms such as insects, amphibians, reptiles, arachnids, and mollusks absorbed the toxic compounds and underwent catastrophic, lightning-fast biological transformations, swelling to colossal sizes with predatory instincts that quickly pushed humanity to the absolute bottom of the food chain. Within a matter of months, 95% of the entire human population was wiped out in what became known as the monsterpocalypse, forcing the scattered remnants of humanity to retreat deep underground into bunkers, bomb shelters, drainage pipes, and reinforced mountain caverns to avoid becoming lunch for giant mutated creatures. Joel Dawson, who was merely a high school teenager living in Fairfield when the world collapsed, had his entire life shattered during the chaotic evacuation when his parents were killed right before his eyes, leaving him completely alone until he found refuge in an underground colony bunker known as the 362 Colony. For 7 years, Joel has lived in this bunker alongside a tight-knit community of survivors who have gradually paired off into couples, leaving him as the single odd man out who spends his days doing the mundane, safe chores of cooking bunker minestrone soup, fixing radios, feeding the farm animals, and sketching detailed, anatomical drawings of all the terrifying surface monsters into his personal survival journal because, whenever actual danger threatens the bunker, Joel suffers from a severe physiological freezing response, completely paralyzing him with fear and rendering him totally useless in combat situations. Despite the safety of his underground home, Joel harbors a deep, unyielding longing for his high school sweetheart, Aimee, who was separated from him during the initial evacuation chaos and currently resides in another coastal bunker colony situated 85 miles away on the California coast. Through erratic, crackling ham radio transmissions, Joel manages to periodically communicate with Aimee, clinging to the romantic promise they made to each other as teenagers that they would find their way back to one another no matter what happened to the world. One fateful afternoon, the peace of the 362 Colony is violently shattered when an enormous mutated subterranean creature, a massive giant ant with armored plating, breaches the concrete perimeter walls of their underground base and attacks the survivors. While the experienced fighters of the colony spring into defensive action with automatic weapons and spears, Joel grabs a heavy crossbow and attempts to help, but his paralyzing fear takes over instantly, freezing his muscles completely while the beast advances, resulting in one of his fellow colony members, Connor, stepping in front of him to spear the monster through the eye, barely saving Joel's life in the process. After cleaning up the catastrophic damage and witnessing how everyone in his bunker views him with pity rather than respect, Joel realizes that staying hidden underground merely surviving is not truly living, and that if he dies, he wants it to be while fighting to reach the only person who truly understands his heart. Over the strong objections, deep warnings, and emotional pleas of his colony family, who point out that traversing 85 miles of dangerous overland terrain with zero monster fighting skills and a chronic freezing condition is an absolute suicide mission, Joel packs a heavy tactical backpack with limited canned rations, a homemade monster notebook, a map, a steel combat machete, and his crossbow, stepping out through the heavy vault steel doors and opening the hatch to the sunlit, overgrown surface world for the very first time in 7 long years. The moment the blinding sunlight hits his eyes, Joel is struck by the surreal, breathtaking beauty of a nature-reclaimed world, where towering vines, lush green flora, and blooming flowers have completely covered abandoned suburban highways, decaying vehicles, and crumbling residential homes. Armed with his rudimentary compass and cautious steps, Joel begins his dangerous trek westward across the California landscape, constantly jumping at every rustling leaf, snapping twig, and sudden bird cry echoing through the desolate silence. His very first night out in the wild turns into a harrowing wake-up call when he attempts to sleep inside an overturned swimming pool and accidentally disturbs a gigantic mutated toad monster that emerges with terrifying speed, wrapping its massive, sticky tongue around Joel and pulling him toward its gaping maw of razor-sharp teeth. Just as Joel is about to be swallowed whole, a fearless, highly intelligent Australian shepherd stray dog wearing a worn-out red bandana leaps into the fray, barking furiously, biting the amphibious beast, and creating enough of a sudden distraction for Joel to cut the tongue with his hunting knife and crawl free, while the dog leads him safely into an old, abandoned bus to hide until the monster loses interest and departs. Joel quickly forms an instant, heartfelt bond with the incredible canine, discovering from the collar that the dog's name is simply Boy, a smart companion whose previous owner sadly perished, leaving the loyal animal to wander the wasteland alone with remarkable survival instincts, possessing an uncanny ability to sniff out poison and detect incoming monster threats long before humans can perceive them. Together, the mismatched duo forms an inseparable traveling partnership, navigating the overgrown roads, abandoned department stores, and ruined neighborhoods, with Boy teaching Joel the practical ropes of staying completely vigilant against ambient environmental dangers. As they travel deeper into the perilous wild, Joel accidentally steps into a hidden subterranean nest of deadly sand-burrowing monsters known as sand gobblers, colossal trapdoor insectoids with razor mandibles lurking beneath the dirt. Joel falls directly into the treacherous pit trap, trapped in shifting sands while 2 monstrous predators prepare to drag him beneath the earth to rip him to shreds, and his heavy paralysis strikes again, leaving him immobilized with absolute terror as the beasts close in from both sides. Out of nowhere, a sudden, high-caliber crossbow bolt strikes the first creature squarely in its optical nerve, instantly dropping the beast, followed by a fierce explosion from a handmade grenade launcher that completely obliterates the second monster into fiery pieces. 2 seasoned, heavily armored surface survivalists drop into the pit and pull Joel to safety. A grizzled, highly pragmatic, combat-hardened wasteland veteran named Clyde Dutton, and an extraordinarily capable, sharp-tongued 8-year-old orphan girl named Minnow, who have mastered the art of living above ground by adhering to a strict set of non-negotiable rules. Clyde and Minnow take Joel and Boy under their protective wing, realizing within minutes that Joel is a hopelessly naive novice who lacks basic wilderness survival knowledge, yet they admire his sheer romantic determination to walk across hundreds of miles of hostile territory just to see a girl. Clyde takes it upon himself to train Joel during their shared journey north toward the safety of the snow-covered mountains, teaching him that not all surface monsters are aggressive killing machines, but rather that every creature has a distinct biological behavior, specific blind spots, and vulnerable anatomical weak points that can be exploited if one keeps a cool, analytical head instead of freezing up in panic. Clyde explains the crucial rules of wasteland survival. Always look monsters directly in their eyes to determine their intent. Never make unnecessary noise, learn to run fast, always search for elevated high ground, and never hesitate to strike when danger presents itself. Little Minnow teaches Joel the art of marksmanship with his crossbow, instructing him to aim for the soft, unarmored eye sockets and fleshy gaps of insectoid monsters rather than firing blindly at thick carapace armor plates, transforming Joel from a completely helpless liability into a moderately capable fighter who begins to understand the physical and mental rhythm of the surface world. During their multi-day trek through dense forests and misty valleys, the group encounters a giant mutated boulder snail, a towering peaceful mollusk with shimmering colors across its shell, where Clyde demonstrates to Joel that by quietly looking into the creature's gentle eyes, one can recognize that some transformed creatures harbor no malice toward humans, providing Joel with a profound philosophical realization about the nuanced reality of this new ecosystem. After several days of invaluable lessons, shared campfire meals, and newfound confidence, the group reaches the steep foothills where their paths must inevitably diverge. As Clyde and Minnow are heading high into the harsh, freezing mountain ranges where cold temperatures prevent giant cold-blooded monsters from surviving, while Joel's romantic quest requires him to continue heading west toward the warmer ocean coast. As a parting gift of friendship, Clyde presents Joel with a high-powered grenade, while young Minnow hands him a handcrafted survival whistle, warning him with heartfelt affection that the closer he gets to the ocean, the more treacherous the predators will become, and that he must rely entirely on his own newly acquired instincts to survive the remainder of his journey. Parting ways with warm embraces and sincere goodbyes, Joel and Boy press onward alone through ever-shifting, unpredictable terrain, with Joel updating his monster sketchbook with accurate biological data, tactical combat strategies, and survival tips learned from Clyde and Minnow. However, the true test of Joel's newfound survival capabilities arrives sooner than expected when heavy rain begins to pour, forcing the traveling duo into an abandoned underground sewer system to seek temporary shelter from the raging storm above. Inside the damp, pitch-black subterranean tunnel, Joel accidentally steps on a hive of parasitic land leeches, whose neurotoxic secretions immediately enter his bloodstream through his boots, causing him to experience violent, terrifying sensory hallucinations, intense dizziness, and rapid physical weakness that causes him to collapse into the murky sewer water. Boy barks frantically to keep Joel conscious as a colossal, mutated centipede-like monster, an armored megapede with dozens of scythe-like legs and dripping acidic mandibles, detects their vibrations and begins crawling relentlessly down the stone ceiling directly toward the incapacitated survivor. With his vision blurring, his limbs failing, and death closing in within inches, Joel must summon every ounce of mental resilience, overcome his crippling inner fears, and apply the survival skills taught to him by his companions before the monstrous horror consumes both him and his faithful dog in the dark depths of the forgotten underground. Trapped in the pitch-black subterranean sewer with neurotoxic hallucinogens coursing violently through his bloodstream, Joel struggles to maintain a fragile grip on reality while the venom from the parasitic leeches warps his vision into terrifying flashes of the past, replaying the traumatic night his parents were killed in Fairfield. The colossal megapede clatters down the stone walls, its dozens of razor-sharp legs gouging deep trenches into the concrete while its dripping, acidic mandibles click rhythmically in anticipation of an effortless kill. Boy leaps onto a rusted pipe, barking fiercely to draw the beast's attention away from the incapacitated human, but the towering centipede swipes its armored tail, sending the brave dog tumbling across the flooded floor. Watching his loyal companion risk its life breaks Joel out of his psychological stupor, triggering an adrenaline surge that temporarily overpowers the paralyzing venom. Remembering Minnow's sharp marksmanship training and Clyde's advice about hitting the vulnerable ocular nerves, Joel draws his crossbow with shaking hands, loads a steel-tipped bolt, and forces himself to look directly into the monster's glowing cluster of eyes without freezing. As the megapede rears back to strike down upon him, Joel fires a pinpoint shot straight through the creature's central eye cluster, causing the beast to shriek in agony and thrash uncontrollably against the sewer ceiling until the weakened stone masonry collapses under its immense weight, crushing the monster beneath a shower of heavy concrete slabs. Panting heavily, covered in mud, toxic slime, and sweat, Joel drags himself over to Boy, checking the dog for injuries before using his survival knife to meticulously scrape the remaining venomous leeches off his legs and treating the wounds with clean water. Emerging from the sewer into the bright, misty morning, Joel finds himself physically exhausted but mentally transformed, realizing that he has successfully defeated a deadly apex monster entirely on his own without freezing in terror. Continuing their westward march across desolate highways, ruined amusement parks, and sun-bleached coastal valleys, Joel and Boy stumble upon a high-end, solar-powered luxury resort home that miraculously still possesses operational electricity and a fully functioning automated artificial intelligence system named MAV-1s. Joel activates the robotic terminal, which plays soothing classic music and allows him to charge his ham radio batteries, clean his clothes, and even make a brief, crackling audio transmission to his old bunker Colony 362, reassuring his amazed underground family that he is still alive, thriving, and closing in on his coastal destination. During this peaceful respite, Joel gazes at the twilight sky as thousands of harmless, bioluminescent sky jellyfish drift serenely through the upper atmosphere, creating a breathtaking celestial light show that reminds him of the wondrous, untamed magic that exists alongside the terrors of this transformed Earth. The following morning, Joel and Boy reach the scenic bluffs overlooking the sparkling Pacific Ocean, with the breathtaking coastal panorama revealing the location of the coastal bunker settlement known as the Capri Colony. However, as they descend the rocky mountain path toward the beach, Boy suddenly detects the scent of an abandoned red dress snagged in a dense thicket of thorny bushes, a poignant reminder of his deceased former owner that triggers an uncontrollable emotional reaction in the dog. Boy charges hysterically into a dangerous swampy pond, ignoring Joel's frantic commands to stay quiet and stay close, which inadvertently disturbs a massive, camouflaged mutated queen sand gobbler lurking beneath the brackish mud. Joel screams at Boy to retreat, but the dog is too distressed to listen, forcing Joel to draw his machete and sprint into the swamp to drag the dog to safety just before the Leviathan's jaws snap shut on the shoreline. In the heat of the frantic escape, Joel loses his temper, furiously shouting at Boy and throwing a piece of debris at the ground, which deeply hurts the loyal dog's feelings, causing Boy to whimper softly and run away into the dense coastal forest, leaving Joel instantly filled with crushing guilt and sorrow as his calls echo unanswered through the wilderness. Devastated by the loss of his best friend, Joel presses forward alone with a heavy heart, eventually reaching the sun-drenched sands of the beach where he collapses from sheer physical exhaustion, dehydration, and heartbreak. Hours later, he awakens to the gentle sound of ocean waves and the warm, familiar voice of Aimee, who has found him unconscious on the shore and carried him into the thriving, sunlit seaside haven of the Capri Colony. Reunited at last after 7 long years of absolute isolation and perilous travel across 85 miles of hostile wasteland, Joel is overwhelmed with emotion as he embraces Aimee, but he quickly senses that the girl he left behind in Fairfield has matured into a strong, practical leader who carries the weight of an entire community on her shoulders. Aimee introduces Joel to her colony members, primarily an aging population of elderly survivors whom she fiercely protects, and confesses to Joel that while she is deeply moved by his miraculous journey to see her, she is not the same romantic teenager from high school, and her ultimate loyalty belongs to the survival of her people. Joel also discovers that the Capri Colony is preparing to depart within hours aboard a luxurious ocean yacht captained by a smooth-talking, self-proclaimed naval officer named Captain Cap and his hardened mercenary crew, who claim they have found an untouched, monster-free tropical paradise island in the Pacific and have offered to ferry the entire colony to safety in exchange for all their accumulated food supplies and valuable resources. During a celebratory farewell dinner hosted by the yacht crew, Captain Cap pours drinks for the entire colony, weaving grandiose tales of their upcoming voyage to salvation, but Joel's finely honed survival instincts, sharpened by Clyde's wisdom and his own harrowing experiences, immediately detect several alarming red flags in the sailor's behavior. Joel notices strange, heavy-duty electrical rigging running deep into the water beneath the yacht, suspicious inconsistencies in Cap's navigation charts, and a ruthless, predatory glint in the crew's eyes that suggests they are far from the benevolent saviors they pretend to be. Stepping away from the festivities to investigate the yacht's perimeter, Joel discovers that Cap's crew are actually ruthless oceanic pirates who have laced the celebration drinks with lethal neurotoxic berry juice to incapacitate the entire colony, intending to steal their provisions, enslave the young, and leave the defenseless elderly to perish. When Joel attempts to rush back and warn Aimee, Cap's armed enforcers ambush him from the shadows, striking him with heavy rifle butts and dragging his bound body to the beach alongside the paralyzed, drugged members of the colony. With the beach settlement completely defenseless and Aimee fighting against the paralyzing poison in her veins, Captain Cap reveals his ultimate weapon of dominance. The yacht is towing a colossal, chained mutated sea titan, an enormous armored giant shore crab whose nervous system is tortured and controlled by high-voltage electric cables driven deep into its shell. Cap unleashes the towering, enraged crustacean onto the beach, ordering it to crush the defenseless survivors into dust while his crew loads the stolen supplies onto the ship, creating a catastrophic crisis where Joel must break free from his bonds, unite his shattered spirit, and summon the strength of everything he has learned to mount an impossible final stand on the blood-soaked shores of the Pacific. Bound tightly with industrial-grade synthetic ropes on the wet sand of the Pacific coastline, Joel feels the bitter chill of incoming ocean tide water splashing against his face while the paralyzing neurotoxin continues to suppress the motor functions of Aimee and her entire coastal colony. The towering mutated shore crab, a terrifying titan of chitinous armor and jagged, bone-crushing claws the size of shipping containers, thrashes violently against the sand as high-voltage electric shocks surge continuously through its exposed carapace from Cap's control console. Captain Cap and his mercenary crew laugh mockingly from the wooden pier, hauling heavy crates of looted medical supplies, seeds, canned provisions, and weapons up the ramp of their armored yacht, treating the doomed survivors like insignificant insects left for total slaughter. Refusing to succumb to despair after traveling 85 miles of monster-infested hell to let his story end on this beach, Joel rolls his body toward an overturned fishing tackle box, using a sharp, rusted metal fishhook to slowly and agonizingly saw through the thick nylon cords binding his wrists until his hands break free. The moment his hands are loose, he reaches into his utility vest pocket to grab Minnow's handmade survival whistle, blowing a piercing, high-pitched emergency blast that reverberates across the coastal cliffs and echoing deep into the dense woodland canopy. Within seconds, a familiar, triumphant bark answers from the tree line as Boy charges out of the forest like a streak of lightning, leaping onto the sand to bite down viciously on the throat of Cap's armed lookout, creating the precise tactical diversion Joel needs to fully unbind his legs and draw his hunting knife to slice through Aimee's restraints. Aimee, fighting through the lingering sluggishness of the drugged drink, grabs a discarded tactical spear and joins Joel, the two forming a unified combat front against the pirate enforcers who turn their assault rifles toward the beach to open fire. Joel sprint dodges through the sand, using overturned rowboats and driftwood logs for cover, accurately firing his loaded crossbow to neutralize two heavily armed pirates before they can line up a clean shot at the incapacitated elderly colony members. Seeing his mercenaries falling, Captain Cap turns the master voltage dial to maximum power on his electrical transmitter, sending agony through the massive crab's central nervous system and driving the monstrous Leviathan into a berserk frenzy, commanding it to stomp forward and crush Joel beneath its colossal, multi-ton pincer. Joel sprints across the open beach, sliding beneath the sweeping claw of the Titan, remembering the profound lesson Clyde Dutton taught him during their peaceful encounter with the giant snail. Monsters are living creatures driven by biological instinct and emotion, not pure evil, and one must always look directly into their eyes to truly understand their pain. Standing completely still just inches away from the roaring beast's crushing jaws, Joel refuses to freeze in fear, raising his gaze directly into the massive, intelligent, pain-filled compound eyes of the shore crab, immediately recognizing that the creature does not want to murder humans, but is merely lashing out due to the horrific agony inflicted by the electrified harpoons driven into its flesh. Instead of firing his high-powered explosive grenade into the beast's mouth, Joel climbs the creature's jagged shell with agile, fearless precision, dodging swinging cables until he reaches the central electrical harness, raising his heavy steel combat machete to sever the high-voltage power cables in one mighty strike. With the agonizing electric shock suddenly cut off, the giant crab ceases its destructive rampage instantly, exhaling a deep, vibrating rumble of profound relief as it turns its towering body away from the beach survivors and locks its gaze onto the cruel pirates aboard the yacht who had tortured it for months. The enraged sea titan charges straight into the ocean, smashing through the pier and slamming its massive claws down upon Cap's vessel, shattering the hull into splintered matchsticks, overturning the yacht in a massive wall of white water, and dragging Captain Cap and his screaming crew into the turbulent ocean depths, ending the pirate threat forever. As the calm morning sun rises over the peaceful Pacific waters, the tranquil shore crab looks back toward Joel on the beach with a gentle, acknowledging tilt of its massive shell before sinking smoothly beneath the gentle ocean waves into total freedom. The Capri colony slowly recovers from the effects of the toxin, rejoicing in their unexpected salvation and looking at Joel Dawson not as a frightened underground cook, but as a legendary warrior and true hero of the surface world. Over the next several days, Joel helps Aimee and her community rebuild their seaside settlement, but both of them mutually and maturely realize that their romantic paths have naturally diverged. Aimee's true destiny is to lead her beach community to the safe, snowy northern mountains to join Clyde and Minnow, while Joel's true purpose lies in returning home to rescue the Bunker family that raised him for 7 years. Sharing a heartfelt, beautiful farewell kiss filled with genuine mutual love and closure, Joel prepares for his long journey back across the continent, this time fully equipped with top-tier supplies, upgraded survival gear, and his faithful companion boy walking proudly at his side. Using the Capri colony's powerful, long-range emergency radio broadcast transmitter, Joel delivers an inspiring, passionate message to every human colony bunker hidden beneath the Earth's surface, declaring that humanity has spent too long living in dark, fearful holes in the ground, and that the surface world is full of beauty, wonder, and survivable dangers if they only have the courage to step outside and learn the rules of this new Earth. Packed with his monster sketchbook containing comprehensive maps, anatomical weak points of creatures, survival tactics, and detailed instructions for mountain travel, Joel steps back onto the open road with a radiant smile, walking confidently alongside Boy into the vast, wild, sun-drenched future of the new world. With the inspiring words of his worldwide radio transmission echoing across the static frequencies of countless forgotten underground frequencies, Joel Dawson and his faithful companion Boy embark on their triumphant return journey across the transformed wilderness of North America. The trek back toward the 362 colony is no longer a terrified stumble through the unknown, but a masterclass in wasteland survival, with Joel operating as a seasoned, observant scout who navigates dense fern forests, ruined highway overpasses, and blooming valleys with effortless precision and absolute confidence. Armed with his comprehensive sketchbook filled with detailed behavioral patterns, weak points, and environmental notes on every creature inhabiting the region, Joel uses natural terrain advantages and the lessons instilled by Clyde and Minnow to outsmart predators long before they become active threats. When a massive mutated pack of razor-winged carrion hornets descends upon an open clearing, Joel does not run in blind panic, but calmly deploys a controlled smoke canister into a hollowed redwood trunk, guiding himself and Boy safely through the dense woodland under the protective cover of natural insect deterrents. Along the trail, the unbreakable bond between Joel and Boy shines brighter than ever, with the loyal Australian shepherd acting as an extension of Joel's own senses, alerting him to hidden water caches, edible wild berries, and stable elevated pathways along crumbling ridges. After days of relentless, purposeful marching, Joel crests the familiar grassy hill overlooking the hidden concrete bunker hatch of the 362 colony in Fairfield, feeling an overwhelming surge of emotion as he looks upon the place where he spent 7 years locked away in paralyzing fear. Approaching the reinforced blast doors, Joel uses the colony's exterior comms panel to announce his arrival, causing absolute shock and jubilant disbelief among his bunker family, who had long presumed him dead after he ventured out into the monster-infested surface alone. When the heavy steel blast doors slowly grind open, Joel steps inside not as the helpless, timid cook who froze in the face of danger, but as a battle-hardened, self-reliant leader wearing rugged leather armor, carrying mastercrafted survival weapons, and accompanied by the bravest dog in the post-apocalyptic world. The entire colony erupts into cheers, tears, and emotional embraces, marveling at Joel's incredible physical and mental transformation as he presents them with his completed, meticulously illustrated monster guidebook, which contains the collective knowledge needed for any human community to survive and thrive on the surface. Joel addresses the entire 362 community, passionately explaining that hiding in dark, decaying subterranean bunkers while rations dwindle and air filters fail is a slow, quiet death sentence, and that the world above, though filled with dangerous predators, also offers clean air, warm sunshine, fertile soil, and an untamed natural beauty that belongs to humanity just as much as the monsters. Inspired by Joel's undeniable courage, first-hand proof of survival, and tactical leadership, the entire 362 colony votes unanimously to abandon their underground exile once and for all, packing their farming tools, essential machinery, medical supplies, and personal belongings to begin an organized overland exodus north toward the safety of the snow-capped mountain ranges. As the bunker vault doors seal behind them for the final time, dozens of men, women, and children step into the blinding golden sunlight, taking their first deep breaths of fresh mountain air in nearly a decade, led fearlessly by Joel Dawson with his crossbow slung across his shoulder and boys scouting the perimeter ahead. Across the entire North American continent, Joel's radio broadcast sparks a revolutionary chain reaction, inspiring hundreds of scattered underground human bunkers to unseal their steel hatches, emerge into the green reclaimed wilderness, and reclaim their rightful place upon the earth. High up in the pristine, snow-covered northern sanctuary, Clyde Dutton and young Minnow stand on a rocky summit, listening to the crackling radio reports of rising human colonies with proud, triumphant smiles, knowing that the naive boy they trained in the woods has become the savior who brought humanity back into the light. Walking at the front of his migrating people under an endless blue sky filled with drifting bioluminescent creatures, Joel turns his face toward the sun, confident, fearless, and completely at peace, ready to face whatever wondrous adventures and terrifying challenges await in this breathtaking new world of love and monsters. The grand overland migration of humanity's awakened survivors gains unstoppable momentum across the verdant North American landscape, turning what was once an era of isolated despair into a historic renaissance of human resilience and unity. Under the tactical leadership of Joel Dawson, the unified convoy of the 362 colony moves with disciplined synchronization, employing advanced surface travel protocols that Joel painstakingly developed throughout his harrowing solo expedition. Rather than marching blindly along crumbling asphalt highways where predators frequently ambush unsuspecting prey, Joel directs the caravan along elevated ridge lines, dry limestone riverbeds, and fortified canopy routes that offer natural high-ground vantage points and clear escape vectors. The caravan is organized into specialized tactical units. Seasoned scouts and vigilant marksmen patrol the perimeter with modified recurve bows and pneumatic crossbows. Agricultural engineers secure heavy seed banks and livestock cages on reinforced all-terrain wagons, and rapid response combat squads stand ready to deploy acoustic deterrence and smoke countermeasures at a moment's notice. Boy runs tirelessly along the vanguard flank, using his hyper-acute canine senses to detect subterranean ground tremors, sulfurous insectoid pheromones, and shifting wind currents miles before danger can close in, effectively giving the migrating humans an insurmountable tactical edge against the predatory wildlife of the transformed continent. As the caravan ascends toward the northern alpine regions, they encounter multiple other bunker colonies that have unsealed their subterranean vaults in direct response to Joel's worldwide radio broadcast, swelling the ranks of the surface vanguard from dozens to hundreds of determined men, women, and children. In the lower mountain passes where ancient redwood groves meet steep granite cliffs, the unified column encounters its greatest trial. A territorial pride of colossal mutated panther mantis hybrids whose bioluminescent camouflage blends seamlessly into the dense mountain foliage. Instead of allowing panic to scatter the ranks, Joel steps to the front line and coordinates a synchronized defensive formation, utilizing controlled ultrasonic frequencies generated from high-powered radio amplifiers to disorient the beasts. Delicate auditory organs while sharpshooters target non-lethal sensory clusters, forcing the apex predators to retreat peacefully into the deep valley without a single human casualty. Higher up the mountain slopes, where the air grows crisp and the dense tropical foliage gives way to towering evergreens and dusting powder snow, the intense cold naturally creates an impenetrable biological barrier against the cold-blooded monster population, providing a safe, abundant alpine haven for human civilization to rebuild. At the summit of the Grand Mountain Pass, the migrating colonies are joyously met by Clyde Dutton and Minnow, who welcome the massive procession into the thriving alpine sanctuary with open arms, vast stockpiles of fresh mountain water, fortified timber lodges, and heated geothermal agricultural terraces. Across the broad valley of the sanctuary, Joel watches as families who had spent 7 agonizing years locked away in darkness run freely across open meadows, build homes under the clear mountain sun, and watch their children laugh without the suffocating terror of subterranean isolation. Standing on a high granite overlook with Clyde, Minnow, and Boy by his side, Joel gazes out over the endless panoramic expanse of the new Earth, recognizing that humanity was never meant to hide beneath the soil in fear, but to evolve, adapt, and coexist with courage alongside the extraordinary wonders and monstrous perils of this wild, reborn planet. Months turn into full seasons as the Grand Alpine Sanctuary flourishes into a thriving mountain metropolis of human innovation, harmony, and unshakable resilience. What began as a desperate cluster of subterranean refugees has evolved into an interconnected network of mountain settlements, with wooden sky bridges, geothermal greenhouses, and stone fortresses spanning across the snow-dusted ridges of the Sierra Nevada. Humanity has not merely survived the apocalypse, it has completely redefined its relationship with the natural world. In this new era, Joel Dawson stands not only as the pioneer who led humanity out of the dark, but as the supreme master instructor of the Surface Survival Academy, teaching hundreds of young scouts, rangers, and naturalists how to observe, understand, and respect the colossal creatures that now rule the lower elevations. The monster sketchbook Joel once kept as a scared boy in a dark bunker has been mass-printed via restored mechanical presses into thousands of standardized survival field guides, distributed to every mountain community across the continent. These books contain not only combat tactics and weak point anatomy, but also detailed maps of safe migratory trails, seasonal monster behavioral shifts, edible mutant flora, and nonviolent deterrence methods. Up in the pristine alpine peaks where freezing temperatures keep cold-blooded megafauna at bay, agriculture thrives through ingeniously redirected volcanic thermal vents, producing bumper harvests of wheat, corn, and nutrient-rich mountain berries that ensure no human goes hungry again. Clyde Dutton oversees the heavy defense logistics and mountain engineering, ensuring that the fortress perimeters remain utterly impenetrable, while young Minnow has grown into one of the most elite, agile long-range scouts on the continent, leading reconnaissance teams down into the valleys to salvage lost technological relics, solar panels, and scientific libraries from the ruins of old-world cities. Boy, now legendary across every human settlement as the golden-hearted hound who crossed a continent to protect his master, roams the high alpine meadows with pure joy, revered and loved by every child in the settlement. One crisp autumn evening, a long-range radio transmitter atop the highest watchtower crackles to life with a familiar, crystal-clear voice. Aimee and the Capri colony, accompanied by hundreds of coastal survivors they rallied along the Pacific shoreline, have successfully navigated the northern coastal trails and arrived at the western pass of the mountain range. A massive celebration erupts as the gates swing open to welcome Aimee's people into the sanctuary, uniting the coastal and inland communities into one grand, invincible human alliance. Standing beside Aimee by a roaring outdoor bonfire beneath a starry sky filled with glowing celestial jellyfish, Joel looks out over the laughing crowds, the glowing timber lodges, and the endless horizon of their reborn world. There are no more cages, no more underground bunkers, and no more paralyzing fear. Humanity has reclaimed its spirit, standing tall, fearless, and united upon the earth, ready to conquer tomorrow hand in hand with love and courage in a wild, wondrous world of monsters. With the Grand Alpine Alliance fully unified and human civilization flourishing securely in the cold mountain strongholds, a monumental new chapter begins for the surface pioneers, transforming their focus from basic survival to active planetary exploration and ecological coexistence. Joel Dawson, Aimee, Clyde Dutton, and young Minnow assemble a specialized high-mobility vanguard team known across the continent as the Rangefinders, whose mission is to map uncharted wilderness zones, establish long-distance trade corridors between distant mountain sanctuaries, and broker peaceful relations with intelligent mutant fauna. Equipped with lightweight composite armor forged from shed monster carapaces, modified solar-electric quad transports, and long-range pneumatic grappling gear, Joel and his vanguard journey deep into the untamed river valleys and lush coastal lowlands that human eyes have not witnessed for over a decade. During these daring expeditions, the rangefinders discover that the post-apocalyptic ecosystem has matured into a complex, harmonious equilibrium, where giant herbivorous titans maintain healthy forest growth, and apex predators keep aggressive insect swarms from overpopulating the wilderness. In the fertile Sacramento Basin, Joel leads a mission to neutralize an ancient chemical factory leaking toxic mutagenic waste into a major water tributary, threatening both monster nests and human mountain streams. Using non-lethal acoustic cannons and tactical flash grenades, the team repels a pack of mutated razor-beaked raptors guarding the perimeter, while Joel safely seals the industrial pipes, purifying the river and saving thousands of downstream creatures from agonizing mutations. Aimee utilizes her natural leadership and medical expertise to set up mobile triage outposts along trade routes, treating injured travelers, studying mutant plant antibodies to synthesize miraculous new medicines, and establishing permanent radio relays on high mountain peaks that connect human settlements from the Pacific coast all the way to the Rocky Mountains. Boy, moving with regal confidence at Joel's side, becomes the ultimate bridge between humans and the wild, capable of calming startled young beasts, tracking lost scout patrols through blinding blizzards, and sensing atmospheric weather shifts hours before catastrophic storms strike the ridges. As the years pass, stories of Joel's epic 85-mile solo walk, his courageous defense of the Capri colony, and his liberation of the enslaved shore crabs spread across the globe like ancient folklore, inspiring generations of children born above ground to grow up without the dark shadow of subterranean trauma, viewing the transformed world not as a hellish nightmare to flee from, but as a wondrous frontier to explore with curiosity and respect. The Surface Survival Academy continues to expand, training hundreds of skilled rangers who uphold the cardinal law of the New World, that humans are no longer masters or victims of nature, but humble guardians walking beside the majestic leviathans of the earth. Sitting atop the highest granite precipice of the Sierra Sanctuary at sunset, Joel watches a pod of gentle, radiant sky jellyfish illuminate the twilight clouds as Boy rests his head peacefully against his knees, knowing that every trial, every terror, and every step taken across the hostile wilderness was worth the triumph of bringing humanity back to the light, forever thriving with enduring love, boundless courage, and unbreakable spirit in this magnificent world of monsters. As the years roll smoothly across the great continental divide, the golden age of human resurgence reaches its absolute peak, permanently cementing the triumphs of the surface vanguard into the foundation of a brand new global era. The Sierra Nevada Sanctuary, once an emergency refuge for frightened subterranean runaways, has blossomed into the thriving hub of New Fairfield, a magnificent mountain city where advanced eco-architecture harmoniously blends high-tech solar energy grids with colossal timber structures built high into the pristine pine forests. Underground living has become a distant, fading relic of the historical past. The iron blast doors of the old nuclear shelters, drainage vaults, and underground bunker colonies are preserved solely as living educational museums, visited by wide-eyed children born into the open air who gaze upon the cramped, rusty quarters and wonder how their ancestors ever endured decades trapped in such silent, stifling darkness. Joel Dawson, now seasoned with the wisdom of a revered elder pioneer and the steady grace of a legendary explorer, continues to oversee the expanded continental communication and mapping networks alongside Aimee, who has founded the Global Botanical and Medical Institute, using unique synthesized extracts from surface flora to eradicate countless ancient illnesses and post-fall maladies. The rangefinders have expanded across thousands of miles of previously forbidden territories, establishing permanently fortified high-elevation trailways that connect the western Pacific sanctuaries to the grand settlements of the Canadian Rockies, the high plateaus of the American Southwest, and the cold northern ridges of the Appalachian mountain ranges. Humanity's relationship with the megafauna has fully transitioned from constant, terrified warfare into sophisticated, respectful ecological stewardship. Human trade caravans navigate specific migratory seasons using Joel's comprehensive creature almanacs, leaving established monster feeding grounds completely undisturbed, while the massive predators naturally clear treacherous overgrown lowlands and keep invasive insect swarms fully balanced. Clyde Dutton, enjoying a well-earned, comfortable retirement in the mountain stronghold, spends his sunny afternoons carving composite wooden bows and teaching the youngest generation of mountain scouts how to shoot straight, run silent, and always keep a level head, while Minnow has grown into the supreme commander of the Continental Ranger Corps, leading long-range ecological conservation patrols across dense subtropical jungles and rolling grasslands with unmatched speed, sharpshooting precision, and fearlessness. Boy, honored throughout the world with towering carved wooden monuments and children's adventure ballads, lives out his golden days as the beloved patriarch of the settlement, basking in the warm mountain sun by the central hearth of New Fairfield, happily surrounded by the laughter of playful children and a lively litter of loyal trail puppies trained to carry on his legendary legacy of canine courage. On the 10th anniversary of the Great Emergence, representatives from every major human mountain settlement across North America gather atop the Grand Summit Overlook for a momentous worldwide assembly, standing shoulder to shoulder beneath a brilliant, cloudless azure sky that once seemed forever lost to humanity. As twilight descends over the majestic mountain range, the atmosphere begins to glow with iridescent, shimmering radiance as thousands upon thousands of celestial bioluminescent sky jellyfish ascend peacefully into the upper stratosphere, drifting gracefully alongside soaring mountain eagles above the sprawling, warm lights of human homes below. Standing at the edge of the granite cliff with Aimee holding his hand, Clyde and Minnow by his side, and faithful Boy resting softly against his boots, Joel Dawson looks out across the breathtaking, limitless horizon of a healed, vibrant, and united planet, feeling an overwhelming warmth in his chest as he reflects upon the incredible, miraculous journey that began with a terrified boy stepping out of an underground bunker armed only with a sketchpad, an unyielding love, and an indomitable hope. The world belongs once more to the brave, the compassionate, and the free, forever advancing into a bright, boundless future filled with enduring harmony, unbreakable brotherhood, and the magnificent, everlasting wonder of love and monsters. With the foundation of the new continental civilization firmly anchored in peace, security, and boundless mutual prosperity, the grand chronicle of humanity's rebirth advances into its ultimate, visionary chapter, where the pioneers of New Fairfield set their sights beyond the high mountain peaks toward the complete revitalization of the entire global landscape. Joel Dawson, now recognized across all civilized territories as the father of the surface age, works alongside the finest scientific minds, botanists, and master architects of the unified settlements to launch the Planetary Restoration Project, a monumental ecological initiative dedicated to cleansing the ancient toxic waste zones and restoring safe, natural balance to the lowest valley floors and coastal wetlands. Utilizing clean geothermal energy tapped from dormant volcanic vents, solar-powered distillation arrays, and specialized bioengineered soil enzymes cultivated from benign mutant mosses, the restoration vanguard steadily purifies the stagnant swamps and radioactive chemical craters left behind by the asteroid fallout of the past century. As the soil returns to pristine purity, ancient hardwood trees, vibrant flowering meadows, and crystal-clear freshwater rivers reclaim the desolate ruins of forgotten 20th-century metropolises, transforming what were once jagged graveyards of rusted steel and shattered glass into lush, living green paradises where humans and non-aggressive wildlife live in seamless, breathtaking equilibrium. The Surface Survival Academy evolves into the Grand Continental University of Natural Sciences, housing vast archives of reclaimed literature, planetary history, music, and art, where scholars study the complex genetics and communication patterns of the transformed megafauna, developing acoustic language frequencies that allow human settlements to signal territorial boundaries directly to giant creatures, preventing territorial friction and cementing an era of profound cross-species coexistence. Aimee leads a nationwide diplomatic expedition across the Central Plains, establishing permanent, state-of-the-art medical and botanical research labs in the high bluffs of the Colorado Rockies, training a new vanguard of wilderness doctors who harness the miraculous healing properties of rare mutant herbs to develop groundbreaking treatments that extend human health and vitality far beyond anything achieved prior to the monsterpocalypse. Clyde Dutton, surrounded by the deep reverence and love of 3 generations of thriving mountain pioneers, is formally appointed as the Grand Archon of Mountain Defense, watching with quiet pride as his legendary combat rules, survival tenets, and core philosophies of discipline and empathy become the foundational pillars of law, education, and moral duty taught in every school across the continent. Minnow, now a legendary master general whose swift leadership and strategic genius are celebrated in folk songs sung from the Pacific coast to the Atlantic seaboard, successfully commands an expeditionary corps of elite rangers who complete the first full continental land survey, discovering that similar thriving mountain alliances have independently sprung up across the Andes, the Alps, the Himalayas, and the Scandinavian ranges, forming a burgeoning worldwide network of awakened human sanctuaries united by shared radio networks and mutual hope. Boy's magnificent lineage thrives throughout every settlement, with generations of highly trained, empathetic scout dogs serving as essential companions to scouts, farmers, and explorers, safeguarding human families on the trail and carrying on the fearless, fiercely loving spirit of their legendary ancestor whose courage once saved the future of humanity. One tranquil evening on the grand summit of New Fairfield, as the golden rays of the setting sun cast long, radiant amber shadows across the flourishing valleys below, Joel stands at the pinnacle of the ancient watchtower holding a newly published, leather-bound master encyclopedia containing the collective knowledge, art, maps, and triumphs of humanity's hard-won emergence. Looking out over the vast, sparkling lights of human settlements nestled safely among blooming evergreen forests, listening to the joyful songs of families echoing across the mountain breeze, and watching a majestic pod of celestial bioluminescent jellyfish drift serenely beneath the rising silver moon, Joel smiles with profound, tears of unshakable fulfillment, knowing that fear has been vanquished forever, that courage has healed the earth, and that humanity's greatest adventure will endlessly endure in a magnificent, everlasting dawn of love, unity, and harmonious wonder. Decades have passed since the first brave footsteps were taken out of the subterranean darkness, and the world has now blossomed into an awe-inspiring, harmonious epic known throughout history as the Grand Dawn of the Reclaimed Earth. The once hostile wilderness has reached a breathtaking ecological equilibrium, where towering ancient trees, crystal-clear rushing rivers, and lush emerald valleys flourish beneath an unpolluted sky that stretches endlessly from coast to coast. Humanity no longer lives in the shadows of fear or the confines of reinforced concrete vaults. Instead, grand eco-cities built with gleaming white stone, living timber, and advanced solar architectures span across the mountain ranges, plateaus, and purified coastal plains of every continent. In the high alpine metropolis of New Fairfield, a colossal bronze statue stands proudly at the center of the Grand Plaza, depicting a determined young scout with a crossbow, a trusty sketchbook, and a courageous dog with a red bandana looking toward the horizon, forever honoring the legend of Joel Dawson and Boy, the 2 souls who showed an entire species how to live again. The wisdom that Joel painstakingly penned into his original survival journal has grown into a vast, universal library of natural science, behavioral zoology, and botanical harmony, taught to millions of children who grow up exploring the vibrant outdoors with profound curiosity, empathy, and deep respect for every living creature. Humanity and the colossal transformed megafauna share the planet not as bitter enemies locked in endless warfare, but as balanced co-inhabitants of a reborn ecosystem. Giant armored titans roam the deep wilderness corridors as gentle natural terraformers, while acoustic signal towers along the mountain borders guide them safely around bustling human settlements and golden agricultural fields. Aimee's visionary botanical sanctuaries and medical networks have eradicated nearly all ancient diseases, establishing an era of unprecedented health, longevity, and peaceful prosperity that connects distant communities across the globe through unbreakable bonds of trade, culture, and mutual aid. Clyde Dutton's pragmatic survival philosophies and Little Minnow's legendary marksmanship and scout tactics are woven into the very fabric of society, ensuring that while humanity embraces peace and beauty, it will never again succumb to weakness, ignorance, or paralyzing fear. The descendants of Boy, carrying his sharp intelligence, radiant spirit, and fierce loyalty, walk proudly at the side of every family, farmer, and mountain ranger, serving as a living testament to the eternal bond of friendship that guided humankind through its darkest trial. On a warm summer twilight atop the highest observation peak of New Fairfield, elderly Joel Dawson sits peacefully in a hand-carved cedar rocking chair overlooking the sprawling, glowing city lights below, his hand resting gently upon the soft head of a golden-brown shepherd hound resting faithfully beside him. As the twilight deepens into a velvety indigo sky, thousands upon thousands of majestic bioluminescent sky jellyfish ascend into the starlit heavens, illuminating the magnificent peaks and verdant valleys below in a breathtaking cascade of shimmering emerald, sapphire, and gold light. Watching the celestial radiance dance across the tranquil world he helped save, Joel takes a deep, calm breath of fresh alpine air and closes his eyes with an overflowing heart and a serene smile of absolute fulfillment, knowing with total certainty that humanity's journey will forever shine as a glorious, boundless, and everlasting epic of indomitable courage, unbreakable unity, and triumphant love. Generations after the legendary founders walked the mountain paths, the world of the reclaimed Earth enters an era of unparalleled wonder, scientific discovery, and global communion, forever transcending the dark memory of the monsterpocalypse. The great mountain cities of the Sierra Nevada, the Rockies, the Andes, the Alps, and the Himalayas are no longer isolated mountain redoubts, but the pulsating cultural and scientific hubs of a unified planetary commonwealth known simply as the League of the New Dawn. Across the vast lowland plains and lush river valleys that were once terrifying death traps of overgrown mutant foliage, human ingenuity and ecological empathy have achieved absolute harmony with the natural environment. Massive bioengineered transit channels and magnetic levitation rail networks glide silently on elevated pylons 50 feet above the ground, allowing trade, art, and travelers to traverse thousands of miles without disturbing the migration paths of colossal earth striders, armored carapace mega beasts, and ancient river titans below. The Surface Survival Academy founded by Joel Dawson has expanded into a planetary network of nature sanctuaries and research observatories, where scholars, explorers, and environmental rangers work in direct synchronization with the megafauna, utilizing advanced harmonic acoustic arrays that communicate peaceful intent and boundary zones directly to the giant species. Through generations of peaceful interaction, many of the colossal creatures have developed an innate, cooperative bond with human communities, grazing along the outskirts of organic agricultural belts where their immense movements clear dense brush and aerate the rich, detoxified soil, fostering agricultural harvests larger and more nutrient-rich than anything ever recorded in pre-apocalypse history. The original leather-bound monster survival sketchbook, meticulously hand-drawn and annotated by Joel during his legendary 85-mile trek to the Pacific coast, is preserved in a vacuum-sealed golden reliquary at the center of the Grand Museum of Human Resurgence in New Fairfield, viewed with reverence by millions of visitors as the sacred artifact that catalyzed humanity's return to the light. The descendants of Boy, bred for their remarkable intuition, intelligence, and fearless empathy, continue to serve as the honored guardians and beloved family members of every community, proudly wearing red bandanas in eternal tribute to the valiant stray who dared to defend a frightened boy in an overturned bus so long ago. Aimee's foundational research in botanical medicines has given rise to global longevity gardens where rare mutant flora are cultivated to synthesize natural remedies, rendering terminal sickness and environmental toxins completely obsolete across all human settlements. The tactical and moral teachings of Clyde Dutton and the legendary General Minnow form the core curriculum of every young person's education, teaching each new generation that true strength lies not in blind violence or destructive conquest, but in unwavering self-discipline, acute observation, absolute fearlessness, and deep respect for all living things. On the centennial anniversary of the Great Emergence, an unprecedented global event known as the Festival of the Radiant Sky unites millions of citizens across every mountain summit and coastal terrace on Earth. As dusk settles over the vast continents, the sky fills with an ocean of countless bioluminescent sky jellyfish, their shimmering ribbons of iridescent azure, gold, and violet light dancing across the stratosphere in perfect harmony with the starlit cosmos. Standing beneath this breathtaking celestial canopy, human beings of every heritage stand shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, looking out over a boundless, thriving paradise that was once a nightmare of ash, fallout, and fear. The epic journey that began with a trembling heartbeat in a dark underground bunker has culminated in an eternal, luminous triumph of the human spirit, standing as an everlasting testament that no matter how deep the darkness, love and courage will always guide humanity home to live free, proud, and united in a magnificent world of boundless wonder. A full century into the era of the reclaimed Earth, the thriving civilization built upon the foundation of love, empathy, and fearless exploration embarks upon its most ambitious endeavor yet, the great restoration of the forgotten oceans and the continental canopy. Across the shimmering Pacific coast where Joel Dawson once freed the enslaved giant shore crab from cruel pirate captors, massive floating sanctuaries of living bio-coral and solar-powered marine observatories now dot the azure coastline. Humanity has expanded its scientific and ecological guardianship into the oceanic deeps, forging peaceful, non-intrusive relationships with colossal marine megafauna, titan sea turtles, and glowing deep-sea leviathans that maintain the biological vitality of the world's detoxified waters. The lessons that Joel inscribed into his very first monster field guide, that true strength is born of understanding an animal's pain rather than exploiting its fear, have become the core philosophical doctrine of every maritime expedition, ensuring that the oceans remain an abundant, pristine cradle of life where humans and marine giants coexist in majestic harmony. In the heart of New Fairfield, the Central Archives hold the complete, masterfully compiled records of the entire Dawson lineage and the heroic founding pioneers whose bravery sparked the global resurrection of the human spirit. The Grand Council of the Surface Vanguard, comprising elected naturalists, master rangers, botanical doctors, and community elders from every major mountain range across North America, South America, Eurasia, and Africa, gathers annually at the summit of the Sierra Nevada to coordinate planetary environmental preservation, sustainable clean energy grids, and universal education programs. The descendants of Boy, instantly recognizable by their radiant intelligence, gentle spirits, and proud red bandanas, remain the cherished guardians of every settlement, roaming the blossoming meadows and safeguarding frontier trails with an ancient, instinctual loyalty that honors the legendary Hound of the Wasteland. The original crossbow wielded by Joel, the tactical spear used by Aimee during the liberation of the Capri colony, Clyde Dutton's hand-carved recurve bow, and Minnow's polished emergency survival whistle are preserved side by side in the Sanctuary Hall of Honor, serving as timeless symbols of the courage, teamwork, and resilience that rescued humankind from the dark brink of permanent extinction. On the eve of the Great Celestial Alignment, when the planetary atmosphere reaches its clearest seasonal purity, the entire global population gathers on open mountain terraces, fortified cliff-side balconies, and coastal piers to witness the breathtaking ascension of the great sky jellyfish migration. As millions of colossal, iridescent aerial creatures ascend gracefully into the starry twilight, painting the night sky in cascading rivers of radiant sapphire, violet, emerald, and liquid gold. Songs of peace, unity, and celebration resonate across every valley, riverbank, and snow-capped peak of the earth. Humanity stands tall, enlightened, and forever free from the shackles of fear, walking proudly beneath the open heavens, carrying forward the everlasting legacy of Joel Dawson in an infinite, beautiful dawn where love conquers all terror, and mankind thrives eternally in a grand, miraculous world of wonder and monsters. As the second century of the reclaimed Earth unfolds into an era of perpetual peace and sublime natural harmony, humanity's vision expands beyond planetary boundaries toward the celestial heavens while remaining deeply rooted in the sacred ecological balance of their home world. The grand mountain strongholds and emerald valleys that once echoed with the roar of predatory conflict have transformed into the vibrant cradle of a truly enlightened civilization, where cutting-edge clean technologies, ancient survival wisdom, and profound interspecies empathy blend into a breathtaking tapestry of life. In the high alpine terraces of New Fairfield, advanced astronomical research stations, constructed from sustainable biocomposites and crystal-clear mountain silica, point their lenses toward the distant stars, monitoring deep space to ensure that no rogue celestial body like the fateful asteroid Agatha 61-6 will ever again blindside the Earth. Yet, the people of the New World view the historic asteroid not with lingering bitterness or sorrow, but as the chaotic catalyst that broke humanity out of its artificial, fragile isolation and forced the species to grow, adapt, and earn its rightful place among the majestic creatures of the living wild. The Surface Survival Academy, founded on the foundational core teachings of Joel Dawson, Clyde Dutton, Aimee, and Minnow, has produced millions of certified planetary guardians whose lives are dedicated to the preservation of both human communities and giant megafauna across every continent on the globe. Across the vast North American river corridors, immense herbivorous titans and armored apex predators migrate freely along protected continental wilderness zones, guided effortlessly away from agricultural towns by harmonious low-frequency acoustic sound towers that hum with the gentle cadence of nature itself. The legend of Joel Dawson, the timid bunker cook who conquered his paralyzing fear, walked 85 miles through monster-infested hell for love, and freed a tortured sea titan on a blood-soaked beach, is recounted in vibrant folklore, theatrical symphonies, and interactive digital archives in every classroom across the globe, teaching generations of children that true courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it through compassion and unyielding resolve. The noble bloodline of Boy remains an enduring symbol of canine heroism, with red bandana-wearing shepherd hounds serving as the loyal protectors, trail navigators, and beloved companions of every family that walks the open trails. At the grand oceanside monument overlooking the endless Pacific horizon where the Capri colony once stood, visitors from around the world gather to watch pods of peaceful, radiant sea leviathans leap gracefully through the sunlit waves, dipping their colossal fins in gentle acknowledgement of the human watchers lining the cliffs above. As twilight blankets the towering pine-covered peaks of the Sierra Nevada, the night sky erupts once more into an awe-inspiring symphony of color as millions of bioluminescent sky jellyfish drift serenely across the starlit heavens, illuminating the laughing faces, thriving homes, and peaceful mountain cities below in a warm, eternal glow of shimmering blue, violet, and gold light. Humanity stands victorious, fearless, and united across the continents, forever honoring the past, cherishing the present, and stepping fearlessly into a boundless, luminous future defined by enduring love, courageous spirit, and the magnificent, everlasting wonder of a world reborn. Across the sprawling continents of the reclaimed Earth, the thriving alliance of humanity and nature reaches an astonishing new epoch of scientific and philosophical illumination, marking the dawn of the deep planetary resonance. Building upon the pioneering foundation established by Joel Dawson and his legendary companions, modern teams of master rangers, bioacoustic engineers, and planetary ecologists make a groundbreaking discovery in the subterranean cavern systems stretching beneath the North American continent, an ancient, worldwide bioluminescent mycelial network that interconnects the neural pathways of all surface megafauna into a singular, harmonious planetary consciousness. Far from being random, chaotic abominations born of toxic fallout, the transformed creatures of Earth have developed an intricate, self-regulating biological matrix that monitors soil fertility, atmospheric purity, oceanic currents, and tectonic balance, functioning as the living immune system and life support network of the reborn planet. In the high-altitude research sanctuaries of New Fairfield, the Dawson Institute of Planetary Resonance deciphers the harmonic acoustic signatures of this underground network, developing resonant biochimes and harmonic frequency transmitters that allow human cities to interface peacefully with the megafauna's collective consciousness, transforming potential territorial conflicts into seamless, symbiotic cooperation. In the vast river valleys of the Amazon, the Sahara's newly formed freshwater oases, and the fertile plains of Eurasia, grand multi-tiered eco-citadels rise gracefully above the ancient canopies, powered entirely by ambient kinetic energy, geothermal taps, and photosynthetic solar glass, ensuring that human industrial activity produces zero waste, zero pollution, and zero ecological disruption. High-speed atmospheric gliders, designed with aerodynamic silhouettes inspired by the soaring celestial sky jellyfish, cruise smoothly through the upper clouds, linking the mountain sanctuaries of the Andes, the Alps, the Himalayas, and the Sierra Nevada into an unbreakable, worldwide commonwealth of shared culture, medical breakthroughs, and scientific innovation. The historical legend of Joel Dawson's fateful journey, from a terrified, paralyzed bunker cook living on canned minestrone soup to the fearless visionary who bridged two divided worlds, is celebrated in every human settlement through the annual Grand Trek pilgrimage, where aspiring young scouts retrace the historic 85-mile coastal trail from Fairfield to the Pacific Ocean, learning wilderness survival, tracking, marksmanship, and interspecies empathy while honoring the timeless memory of Clyde Dutton's strict survival laws, Minnow's peerless courage, and Aimee's visionary botanical stewardship. The noble descendants of Boy, instantly recognized across the globe by their radiant intelligence, gentle spirits, and proud red bandanas, continue to stand as the living guardians of humanity, accompanying deep wilderness research teams, guiding lost travelers through uncharted valleys, and nurturing children with the same fierce, unconditional love that once saved Joel from the dark jaws of the wasteland. At the grand oceanside monument overlooking the Pacific coast where Joel severed the cruel electrical chains binding the giant shore crab, hundreds of oceanic explorers and gentle marine leviathans gather in mutual celebration, with massive bioluminescent sea titans breaching peacefully through the crystal-clear ocean waves beneath the warm glow of the rising sun. As dusk falls once more across the majestic peaks of the global mountain alliances, the atmosphere ignites into a breathtaking, iridescent light show as millions of celestial sky jellyfish ascend into the starlit heavens, casting an eternal, shimmering mantle of emerald, azure, violet, and gold light over a healed, prosperous, and united world where fear has been forever extinguished, courage reigns supreme, and humanity thrives in endless harmony, love, and wonder. 2.5 centuries after the legendary emergence from subterranean exile, the civilization of the reclaimed Earth stands at the zenith of universal harmony, inaugurating the glorious golden age of the biospheric vanguard. The entire surface of the globe has transformed into an interconnected sanctuary of ecological mastery, where advanced organic architecture, zero-emission atmospheric transit, and crystalline energy arrays operate in absolute synergy with the natural world. Cities are no longer concrete scars carved into the face of the planet. Instead, cities are living, breathing ecosystems built into towering redwoods, suspended along sweeping canyon ridges, and floating upon crystalline coastal bays, engineered with bioluminescent flora that illuminate the evenings without disturbing the migration cycles of surface fauna. The foundational teachings of Joel Dawson, preserved in the sacred Golden Codex of the Surface Survival Academy, have elevated human empathy from a simple survival instinct into a planetary philosophy taught across every continent, instilling in every child the profound truth that fear is transformed into strength only when one has the courage to understand the heart of what lies before them. In the high alpine metropolis of New Fairfield, the Central Council Hall stands surrounded by magnificent botanical gardens where rare medicinal plants once synthesized by Aimee continue to grant humans vibrant health, longevity, and total immunity to ancient toxins and airborne pathogens. The rangefinders of the modern era are no longer desperate scavengers carrying makeshift weapons, but interstellar-grade naturalists and biospheric engineers equipped with non-invasive acoustic resonators, kinetic energy dampeners, and ultralight composite flight suits that allow them to soar alongside the majestic sky jellyfish through the upper atmosphere without disrupting their serene celestial migrations. Massive continental transit bridges, constructed from self-healing organic glass and magnetic repulsion tracks, span across the widest river valleys, allowing human travelers, automated freight pods, and giant megafaunal herds to cross the wilderness simultaneously in peaceful, synchronized coexistence. The profound discovery of the deep mycelial planetary consciousness has allowed human communities to forge a living acoustic dialogue with the Earth, enabling settlements to predict earthquakes, deflect violent volcanic eruptions, and direct seasonal weather patterns with gentle harmonic resonance rather than forceful planetary destruction. Across the rolling coastal plains where the historical Capri colony once stood, the monument of the liberated sea titan has become a global pilgrimage site where international oceanographers, high-altitude scouts, and coastal families gather to watch thousands of radiant marine leviathans breach alongside playful pods of dolphins in the shimmering azure waters of the Pacific. Clyde Dutton's pragmatic tenets of unyielding discipline, vigilance, and marksmanship, alongside Minnow's legendary scout tactics, are practiced daily in the Academy's Global Ranger trials, ensuring that humanity maintains its razor-sharp instincts, athletic resilience, and mental fortitude even in an era of sublime planetary peace. The sacred bloodline of Boy, carrying the identical radiant golden-brown coat, razor-sharp instincts, and fiercely loyal heart of their ancient ancestor, remains the eternal symbol of mankind's unbroken bond with the animal kingdom, proudly wearing handcrafted red bandanas as they safeguard children, guide mountain travelers through unexpected blizzards, and rest warmly beside family hearths across every mountain peak and river terrace on Earth. As the annual festival of the Radiant Dawn reaches its grand culmination atop the highest granite precipice of the Sierra Nevada mountains, millions of citizens gather on glowing mountain terraces under a clear, starlit twilight sky. As the night deepens, the atmosphere erupts in a breathtaking, cascading aurora of emerald, sapphire, violet, and molten gold as millions upon millions of celestial bioluminescent sky jellyfish ascend serenely into the upper heavens, casting an infinite, shimmering mantle of peace, unity, and wonder across the laughing faces, vibrant homes, and soaring spires of the human world below. Standing on the historic overlook where a frightened boy once stepped out of a dark bunker with a battered sketchbook, an unyielding love, and an indomitable dream, humanity looks forward into eternity with fearless eyes and overflowing hearts, knowing that love has conquered all darkness, and that mankind will forever thrive in majestic, everlasting harmony across this grand, wondrous, and immortal world of monsters. As 3 centuries draw to a close on the reclaimed Earth, humanity reaches the highest plateau of cultural, technological, and planetary integration, officially christening this timeless era as the Age of the Symbiotic Commonwealth. Across all 7 continents, the division between human civilization and the natural wilderness has dissolved completely, replaced by an intricate, self-sustaining global biosphere where sentient humans, intelligent flora, and colossal megafauna live in seamless, mutualistic balance. The monumental metropolis of New Fairfield, nestled high within the eternal snowcaps of the Sierra Nevada, has grown into a world capital of ecological enlightenment, with soaring ivory-white terraces, crystalline sky gardens, and living timber towers integrated directly into the ancient redwood forests without felling a single tree. Deep within the central hall of universal knowledge, the original, weathered survival notebook of Joel Dawson remains the ultimate cultural relic of the human race, displayed alongside his primitive steel crossbow and the worn crimson bandana worn by Boy on their historic cross-continental pilgrimage. Historians, biospheric scientists, and young scouts from the farthest reaches of the globe make pilgrimages to read Joel's handwritten notes, marveling at how a single young man's decision to overcome his paralyzing terror transformed an entire doomed species from subterranean mole people into guardians of a reborn Eden. The ancient legacy of Clyde Dutton's strict wilderness rules and Minnow's unmatched archery precision has evolved into the Guardian Creed, an ethical code of honor, vigilance, and physical excellence practiced by billions of citizens who maintain peak health, agile reflexes, and mental clarity through daily wilderness immersion. Aimee's foundational work in the botanical sciences has culminated in the creation of the Pan-Continental Healing Canopy, an interconnected agricultural grid that harnesses the genetic vitality of non-toxic mutant plants to distribute natural nutrients and life-extending compounds into the atmospheric water cycles, completely eliminating famine, biological disease, and premature aging across the globe. Modern scouts and surface rangers navigate the continents aboard Whisper Quiet, zero-emission magnetic levitation gliders and biocomposite sky rigs, soaring alongside the majestic celestial sky jellyfish without disturbing their seasonal migration corridors or their sacred atmospheric nursery grounds high in the stratosphere. Across the boundless Pacific shoreline where Captain Cap's tyrannical pirate crew was once vanquished and the colossal shore crab was granted its freedom, the oceanic sanctuary thrives with extraordinary vibrance, with schools of bioluminescent leviathans swimming peacefully beside human research vessels, creating grand cascades of glowing azure spray that illuminate the coastlines for hundreds of miles. The faithful bloodline of Boy remains an honored, protected living treasure throughout every city, town, and rural outpost, with thousands of intelligent, empathetic shepherd hounds serving as beloved protectors, trail companions, and family guardians, each proudly wearing a crimson collar in eternal remembrance of the brave stray who changed the course of human destiny. On the historic eve of the tricentennial dawn of emergence, the entire planetary population gathers on mountain terraces, coastal promenades, and elevated skywalks to witness the great celestial convergence, where the atmospheric energy of the Earth synchronizes with the starlit cosmos. As night descends over the tranquil planet, the atmosphere ignites into a cosmic symphony of living light as billions of bioluminescent sky jellyfish rise in breathtaking, swirling spirals toward the heavens, casting a radiant aurora of sapphire, violet, amber, and gold across the laughing faces, thriving settlements, and emerald landscapes of the world below. Standing together beneath this infinite, radiant sky, the people of the reclaimed Earth hold hands with unshakable pride, total fearlessness, and deep reverence for the wild, knowing that humanity's greatest triumph was not conquering the monsters, but learning to conquer their own fear through love, empathy, and courage, forever illuminating the universe with an eternal, boundless dawn of harmony and wonder. Entering the dawn of the 4th century following the historic emergence, the world of the symbiotic Commonwealth achieves the ultimate manifestation of planetary enlightenment, giving rise to an extraordinary new era known as the Age of the Celestial Horizon. The deep lessons of love, empathy, and wilderness mastery first pioneered by Joel Dawson have not only healed the surface of the Earth, but have fundamentally redefined how humanity envisions its permanent place within the cosmos. High above the snow-crested summits of the Sierra Nevada, the grand alpine metropolis of New Fairfield serves as the planetary launchpad for the first generation of biospheric exploration vessels, known across the global Commonwealth as the Dawson-class Celestial Voyagers. These magnificent ships, forged from self-healing organic alloys, crystalline solar matrices, and aerodynamic biocomposites inspired by the soaring physiology of the great sky jellyfish, are engineered to explore the lunar outposts and nearby planetary orbits without emitting a single particle of pollutant or harmful radiation into the atmosphere. The guiding ethical doctrine of space exploration is derived directly from the sacred pages of Joel's original monster survival journal. Humanity shall never again venture into unknown territories with the intent to conquer, plunder, or subjugate native life forms, but rather to observe with acute respect, communicate through peaceful resonance, and adapt with humble courage to whatever alien wonders and perils lie beyond the stars. Across the vast surface territories of Earth, the terrestrial and oceanic megafauna have fully integrated into the planetary infrastructure. Towering Earth striders and armored carapace giants migrate across continental conservation corridors that are monitored and maintained by the Global Ranger Vanguard, whose members are trained from childhood in the disciplined survival laws of Clyde Dutton and the sharp marksmanship of legendary Commander Minnow. In the blossoming coastal settlements overlooking the Pacific where the historic Capri colony once stood, deep-sea research temples submerged in crystal-clear waters allow marine scholars to swim freely alongside radiant, glowing leviathans, utilizing harmonic hydro frequencies to maintain the pristine chemical balance of the world's oceans and ensure that no creature is ever again bound by cruel electrical harpoons or predatory human greed. Aimee's foundational botanical breakthroughs have evolved into automated planetary seed vaults and atmospheric aerosol towers that disperse nutrient-rich, bioluminescent mist across mountain peaks and desert valleys, ensuring that absolute agricultural abundance, perpetual vitality, and deep physical wellness remain universal human rights shared equally by every community across the globe. The noble descendants of Boy, instantly recognized by their remarkable golden amber coats, sharp canine intuition, and iconic red collars, continue to walk as sacred guardians beside human explorers, families, and high-altitude rangers, serving as the eternal bridge between the wild intuition of the animal kingdom and the thoughtful consciousness of mankind. On the eve of the historic launch of the first interstellar Voyager toward the outer solar system, billions of citizens gather upon open mountain amphitheaters, coastal balconies, and floating sky gardens across every continent on the globe, looking upward into the darkening twilight with fearless hearts and luminous hope. As the majestic spacecraft lifts gently from the Sierra summit on a cushion of silent magnetic energy, the atmosphere erupts into an awe-inspiring, worldwide display of celestial majesty as millions of bioluminescent sky jellyfish ascend into the starlit stratosphere, trailing shimmering ribbons of sapphire, violet, emerald, and liquid gold light that illuminate the heavens from horizon to horizon. Humanity stands united, invincible, and entirely at peace, carrying the eternal flame of courage, compassion, and adventurous spirit that began with a terrified boy stepping into the sunlight, forever marching forward into the infinite universe with boundless love and reverence for a grand, immortal world of wonder. Beyond the radiant thresholds of the 4th century, the flourishing civilization of the celestial horizon expands into a grand, timeless epic known throughout human history as the Age of the Universal Biosphere. Humanity's profound journey, which began in the dark, trembling confines of reinforced concrete bunkers surrounded by terror, has reached its supreme philosophical and scientific realization. The Earth itself has become a legendary crown jewel of the solar system, a living, breathing paradise where advanced organic technologies, crystalline energy networks, and multi-tiered sky cities operate in absolute, effortless resonance with the untamed natural world. The lessons recorded in the sacred Golden Codex of Joel Dawson, the simple, revolutionary truth that survival is not about dominating the wild with violent weapons, but about mastering one's own fear through love, empathy, and acute observation, have become the universal constitution guiding all human interaction across terrestrial continents, deep ocean trenches, and orbital lunar settlements. In the high alpine metropolis of New Fairfield, which sits proudly among the snow-crowned summits of the Sierra Nevada, the Grand Council of Planetary Guardians convenes in the open-air hall of the First Horizon. Within this majestic amphitheater, constructed entirely of living timber and self-healing crystalline glass, scholars, master naturalists, botanical doctors, and deep-range scouts from every continent gather to celebrate the continuous flourishing of the reclaimed Earth. The central archives preserve the sacred relics of the Great Emergence, the worn, leather-bound monster field guide with Joel's handwritten notes, the polished recurve bow of Clyde Dutton, the handcrafted emergency whistle of young Minnow, the medical seed vials of Aimee, and the historic crimson bandana of Faithful Boy. Millions of visitors from across the globe view these timeless artifacts not merely as ancient museum pieces, but as the sacred seeds of human liberation that transformed a dying, frightened species into enlightened stewards of life. Across the rolling river valleys, coastal lowlands, and ancient forests of North America, South America, Eurasia, and Africa, the giant megafauna continue to thrive in protected continental migratory zones, their monumental movements harmoniously synchronized with human communities through gentle harmonic acoustic towers that hum the natural frequencies of the Earth itself. The oceanic sanctuaries along the Pacific shoreline, where Joel once severed the cruel high-voltage chains binding the giant shore crab, now represent the pinnacle of marine science and interspecies diplomacy, with floating crystalline research stations allowing marine biologists to swim alongside glowing leviathans, giant sea turtles, and bioluminescent deep-sea titans in waters of absolute, pristine purity. The vast botanical networks pioneered centuries earlier by Aimee have developed into self-sustaining atmospheric vitality canopies that disperse natural life-extending aerosols into the planetary breeze, rendering chronic illnesses, degenerative conditions, and physical decay entirely obsolete for all citizens. Clyde Dutton's foundational survival tenets of unyielding vigilance, physical discipline, and emotional mastery, combined with Minnow's legendary agility and marksmanship, remain the core spiritual and athletic curriculum practiced by billions of young people who spend their formative years living in deep wilderness reserves, learning to track, observe, and live without fear in the presence of the world's most powerful predators. The sacred bloodline of Boy, with their unmistakable golden amber fur, radiant amber eyes, sharp canine intuition, and iconic red collars, continues to walk proudly as the cherished companions of every scout, explorer, and family across the globe, maintaining an unbroken lineage of canine courage that has guarded the human race for 400 glorious years. On the eve of the quadricentennial dawn of liberation, an unprecedented worldwide celebration known as the Grand Harmony of the Stars unites billions of people across every mountain ridge, ocean pier, and sky platform on Earth. As twilight descends into a velvety indigo sky, the atmosphere ignites with the glorious ascension of the great sky jellyfish migration, with millions upon millions of celestial, bioluminescent aerial titans rising into the starlit stratosphere, creating swirling rivers of radiant azure, emerald, violet, and molten gold light that reflect across the sparkling mountain cities and laughing faces below. Standing together beneath this endless, magnificent cosmic canvas, the people of the reclaimed Earth look out upon their thriving world with boundless gratitude, unbreakable unity, and fearless hearts, knowing that humanity's epic journey will forever shine across the cosmos as an eternal, triumphant testament to the invincible power of love, courage, and peaceful wonder in a majestic world of monsters. As 5 full centuries of continuous peace, enlightenment, and unshakable courage reach their monumental culmination, the civilization of the reclaimed Earth transcends all terrestrial boundaries, entering the supreme, eternal epic celebrated as the Millennium of the Starlit Covenant. The planetary sanctuary that began when a lone, terrified young man pushed open the rusty hatch of an underground bunker in Fairfield has now expanded into a multi-planetary network of bio-resonant colonies, self-sustaining orbital arboretums, and terraformed lunar valleys, all operating in perfect spiritual and ecological harmony with the living Earth. Humanity's collective consciousness has achieved absolute clarity. The dark instincts of greed, tribal warfare, and destructive exploitation that once brought the species to the brink of total annihilation have been eradicated forever, replaced by an unbreakable moral code rooted in empathy, scientific reverence, and fearless curiosity. High in the majestic, snow-crested peaks of the Sierra Nevada, the metropolis of New Fairfield remains the eternal spiritual and cultural heartbeat of human civilization, where the grand spires of the Dawson Aimee Institute rise toward the heavens, woven seamlessly from ancient living redwood fibers, photosynthetic crystal lattices, and zero-gravity biocomposites. Within the inner sanctum of the Grand Museum of Liberation, the sacred relics of the first emergence, the original monster field guide, the primitive crossbow, the emergency survival whistle, and the legendary crimson bandana of Boy, are suspended within an eternal sphere of radiant magnetic light, radiating a timeless aura of heroism that continues to inspire billions of souls across the civilized solar system. The fundamental survival tenets penned 500 years ago by Joel Dawson, reinforced by the rugged combat wisdom of Clyde Dutton and the sharpshooting precision of Minnow, have become the foundational cosmic ethics of interstellar exploration. That no world shall ever be approached with violent weapons or conqueror's pride, but with open eyes, gentle acoustic resonance, and the humble willingness to understand the living soul of every creature encountered in the universe. On the terrestrial surface of Earth, the colossal megafauna have achieved a state of timeless, undisturbed majesty, roaming across continental ecological corridors that span thousands of miles of ancient forests, crystal-clear river valleys, and revitalized grasslands, moving alongside humanity's silent magnetic transit networks in effortless, synchronized grace. The oceanic deeps of the Pacific, where the great shore crab was once delivered from torture and cruelty, flourish with extraordinary brilliance, with massive bioluminescent marine leviathans, giant coral titans, and pods of communicative sea mammals swimming peacefully alongside human submersibles in waters that sparkle with absolute purity. The botanical legacy of Aimee has blossomed into a planetary life force grid, where self-renewing atmospheric aeroponics systems distribute restorative, health-giving floral essences through the global winds, ensuring that every living being thrives with boundless vitality, profound mental clarity, and an extraordinary lifespan free of decay or disease. The noble and sacred bloodline of Boy remains the eternal guardian spirit of humankind, with thousands of sharp-minded, fiercely loyal, golden-coated shepherd hounds walking beside every explorer, ranger, and child across Earth and the orbital colonies, proudly wearing crimson collars as a living emblem of the ancient dog who chose to love and protect a frightened boy in the ruins of the old world. On the historic eve of the Millennium Convergence, when the planetary alignment brings the global atmosphere into its purest harmonic frequency, the entire population of the Earth and its lunar stations gathers in silent, breathless awe upon mountain terraces, ocean cliffs, and floating sky sanctuaries. As the twilight deepens into an infinite, velvety cosmic expanse, the heavens erupt into the most magnificent spectacle in planetary history as billions of colossal bioluminescent sky jellyfish ascend into the upper stratosphere, weaving spiraling rivers of radiant sapphire, emerald, amethyst, and liquid gold across the starlit sky. Standing together beneath this breathtaking, eternal tapestry of living light, the people of the reclaimed Earth look out into the infinite cosmos with fearless eyes, boundless pride, and overflowing love, knowing that their journey from the dark underground bunkers into the sunlight was the greatest victory of the human spirit, a victory of courage over fear, harmony over conquest, and eternal love in a boundless, magnificent universe of wonder and monsters. Standing at the absolute summit of human evolution and cosmic harmony, the world of the Millennium of the Starlit Covenant concludes its grand chronicle in a monumental, everlasting celebration of the indomitable human spirit. The breathtaking story that began on a ruined, post-apocalyptic Earth, where a terrified, lonely young bunker cook named Joel Dawson conquered his paralyzing physical fear, ventured out across 85 miles of perilous monster-infested wilderness, and risked his life for love, has now reached its eternal, transcendent legacy. Across every mountain peak of the Sierra Nevada, the sweeping canyons of the Americas, the coastal sanctuaries of the Pacific, and the farthest terraformed orbital outposts of the solar system, humanity lives completely free from the shadows of subterranean isolation, walking hand in hand as enlightened guardians of a vibrant, living universe. The sacred monster sketchbook that Joel once carried through mud, sewers, and predatory ambushes is now etched into the living memory of billions of free citizens, serving as the foundational constitution of planetary life. To always face the unknown with open eyes, to seek understanding before judgment, to replace violence with empathy, and to recognize that true strength is born of boundless love and fearless resolve. The legendary wisdom of Clyde Dutton's unyielding survival laws, the peerless courage and sharpshooting brilliance of Minnow, the visionary botanical healing of Aimee, and the fierce, unconditional loyalty of Faithful Boy have become the eternal pillars that uphold an unbroken golden age of peace, health, and universal prosperity. No longer divided by borders, fear, or ancient hatreds, the people of the reclaimed Earth look out upon their flourishing planet, where giant, majestic megafauna roam in peaceful coexistence with crystal and timber eco-cities beneath an unpolluted sky filled with drifting, iridescent bioluminescent sky jellyfish, knowing that they have achieved the greatest triumph in the history of life. As the radiant golden sunrise crests the alpine peaks of New Fairfield, illuminating the vast, beautiful, and boundless future of humankind, the final message of Joel Dawson resonates across the stars for all eternity, that no matter how dark the world becomes, courage will always conquer fear, love will always find a way home, and humanity will forever shine proud, brave, and free in this magnificent, miraculous world of love and monsters. As the timeless chronicle extends into the boundless horizon of the infinite future, the legend of Joel Dawson and the reclaimed Earth transforms into an immortal cosmic beacon, echoing across the stars as a universal testament to the victory of courage over despair. The planetary paradise of Earth, once written off as a lost graveyard of mutated horrors and radioactive ruin, now stands as the radiant mother world of an enlightened interstellar commonwealth, where generations of free-born explorers carry the foundational principles of the Surface Survival Academy across the celestial sea. Long-distance interstellar vessels, designed with biomimetic hull geometries inspired by the aerodynamic grace of the great stratospheric sky jellyfish and powered by clean kinetic energy derived from harmonious planetary resonance, venture beyond the boundaries of the solar system, bearing the emblem of the crossbow and the red bandana as symbols of universal peace, acute observation, and deep empathy toward all extraterrestrial biospheres. Every colony world founded across distant planetary systems is structured not upon industrial extraction or violent conquest, but upon the sacred ecological tenets of New Fairfield, integrating human life with native alien fauna and preserving untouched wilderness reserves with absolute reverence and scientific care. In the historic halls of the Central Planetary Archive overlooking the sunlit summits of the Sierra Nevada, the physical artifacts of humanity's darkest days remain preserved under perpetual stasis fields. The original faded pages of Joel's monster sketchbook, Clyde Dutton's hand-carved bow, Minnow's polished whistle, Aimee's first botanical extract vials, and the timeless red cloth worn by Boy. These sacred relics serve as an eternal reminder to all traveling delegates, planetary scholars, and starry-eyed children that the greatest turning point in human civilization did not begin with advanced technology or grand armies, but with a humble young man who chose to face the terrifying wilderness alone, driven by an unyielding heart that refused to let fear dictate his destiny. The noble descendants of Boy, cherished throughout the galaxies as the sacred guardians of humanity, continue to accompany explorers on deep wilderness expeditions across new worlds, guiding lost scouts through alien forests, sniffing out unseen environmental toxins, and offering the warm, loyal comfort of their ancient forefather whose boundless affection helped ignite the rebirth of an entire species. Across the oceans, valleys, and skies of Earth, the magnificent terrestrial megafauna and oceanic leviathans roam in untamed majesty, thriving alongside silent, elevated skyways and glowing botanical cities where human laughter, music, and art fill the unpolluted air beneath endless blue skies. On the eve of the Grand Cosmic Jubilee, when millions of planetary delegates return to Earth to honor the ancient birthplace of human freedom, the twilight atmosphere erupts into a celestial light show of unimaginable grandeur, as countless bioluminescent sky jellyfish rise in vast, spiraling tapestries of sapphire, emerald, violet, and molten gold light that bridge the mountain peaks to the infinite heavens above. Standing united beneath this radiant, eternal dawn, the children of the reclaimed Earth look forward into the endless universe with fearless spirits, unbroken joy, and overflowing love, forever walking proud, courageous, and free in a majestic, miraculous, and everlasting world of wonder and monsters. Reaching the absolute pinnacle of universal enlightenment and boundless cosmic harmony, the immortal saga of the reclaimed Earth permanently weaves its legacy into the infinite fabric of the living cosmos. The great planetary civilization that was born from the raw courage of a solitary young scout crossing an overgrown wasteland has now evolved into an eternal galactic sanctuary of peace, wisdom, and boundless discovery. Across thousands of star systems, deep space voyagers, and terraformed garden worlds, the foundational philosophy inscribed centuries ago by Joel Dawson remains the universal standard of life. That fear is merely a shadow waiting to be illuminated by the light of understanding, that empathy is the ultimate weapon against destruction, and that true strength lies in the humble willingness to coexist with all forms of life. The grand alpine capital of New Fairfield, nestled forever beneath the majestic, snow-dusted summits of the Sierra Nevada mountains, stands as the eternal heart of this glorious galactic commonwealth, welcoming pilgrims from across the stars who come to gaze upon the sacred bronze monument of Joel and Boy standing vigilant at the edge of the world. Within the timeless halls of the great universal sanctuary, the ancient handwritten notes, anatomical drawings, and tactical survival rules penned during Joel's legendary solo trek to the Pacific coast are celebrated as the greatest philosophical scriptures of the human race, reminding every living soul that humanity was never meant to hide in dark, suffocating subterranean vaults, but to walk tall, brave, and open-hearted beneath the radiant warmth of the sun. The ancient, pragmatic combat wisdom of Clyde Dutton and the legendary sharpshooting agility of young Minnow continue to inspire universal training academies across the stars, instilling in every generation the unbreakable virtues of physical excellence, sharp observation, and unwavering mental fortitude. The miraculous botanical and medical sanctuaries pioneered by Aimee continue to blossom across worlds, ensuring that health, vitality, and deep spiritual well-being flow endlessly to every community without exception. The sacred, loving bloodline of Boy, distinguished forever by their golden amber fur, brilliant intelligence, and proud red collars, remains the eternal symbol of friendship and canine loyalty across the universe, safeguarding explorers on uncharted alien frontiers and bringing warmth to families gathered beside warm hearths on distant worlds. Back on the lush, vibrant surface of Earth, the magnificent terrestrial megafauna, titanic river creatures, and glowing oceanic leviathans migrate peacefully along boundless continental sanctuaries, living in seamless, synchronized rhythm with humanity's zero-emission sky cities and living crystalline towers. As the twilight sky deepens over the peaks of the Sierra Nevada, the atmosphere ignites with the glorious, timeless ascension of the celestial sky jellyfish, their iridescent bodies weaving breathtaking ribbons of radiant sapphire, violet, emerald, and liquid gold across the starlit heavens in an endless dance of planetary wonder. Standing hand in hand beneath this majestic, eternal celestial canopy, the free people of the reclaimed Earth look out into the infinite expanse of the universe with fearless eyes, overflowing hearts, and unbroken unity, forever proud of the past, fully alive in the present, and stepping forward into eternity with the everlasting, triumphant power of love, courage, and hope in a magnificent, boundless world of wonder and monsters. Beyond the farthest reaches of known space and the deepest expanses of recorded time, the timeless saga of the reclaimed Earth achieves its ultimate, infinite ascension, immortalized forever as the eternal symphony of the starlit vanguard. The magnificent civilization that blossomed from the humble, fearless steps of Joel Dawson has become a living legend whispered across the cosmos, a shining beacon proving that no species is ever doomed to live in fear so long as love and empathy remain alive in the heart. The ancestral homeworld of Earth remains the sacred, untouched jewel of this galactic commonwealth, a lush paradise of ancient forests, crystalline oceans, and soaring mountain ranges where colossal megafauna and enlightened humans live in perpetual, reverent symbiosis. In the high alpine towers of New Fairfield, where the air remains forever fresh with the scent of wild pine and blooming mountain flora, the Grand Hall of Ancestors echoes with the laughter, music, and philosophical teachings of scholars and explorers who travel from distant star systems to learn the ancient art of harmonious survival. The original Monster Survival Sketchbook, written with charcoal and ink in the dark depths of the post-apocalyptic wasteland, sits enshrined beneath an eternal beam of sunlight, its weathered pages telling the simple, profound truth that saved a dying species, that looking into the eyes of a monster with empathy rather than hatred transforms terror into understanding, and danger into kinship. The legendary survival doctrines of Clyde Dutton, the peerless agility and precision of Minnow, the miraculous botanical healing wisdom of Aimee, and the fierce, unconditional loyalty of faithful Boy are woven into the spiritual architecture of every interstellar expedition, ensuring that wherever humanity travels among the stars, it walks as a protector of life rather than a conqueror of worlds. The cherished descendants of Boy, bearing their iconic golden amber coats and proud crimson collars, continue to run freely across open alpine meadows and alien landscapes alike, serving as the eternal ambassadors of friendship, intuition, and canine bravery throughout the universe. As night falls once again over the snow-capped summits of the Sierra Nevada, the atmosphere fills with the breathtaking, luminous dance of billions of bioluminescent sky jellyfish, drifting in radiant waves of emerald, azure, violet, and molten gold beneath a sea of infinite stars. Standing beneath this boundless, glowing sky with hearts overflowing with peace and unyielding courage, the united people of the reclaimed earth look out into the endless expanse of eternity, knowing with absolute certainty that fear has been vanquished forever, that the human spirit will never again hide in darkness, and that love will forever illuminate the cosmos in this magnificent, wondrous, and immortal world of love and monsters. At the boundless apex of this infinite galactic epic, the grand chronicle reaches its permanent, transcendent culmination, standing as the eternal monument to humanity's triumph over despair. The sacred path carved by Joel Dawson, from a terrified boy hiding in a dark bunker to the visionary pioneer who inspired a global resurrection, has become the foundational mythos of an enlightened interstellar commonwealth that spans across countless star systems and flourishing garden worlds. Earth itself, preserved in all its untamed, majestic splendor, stands as the eternal heart of this universal civilization, a living sanctuary where towering megafauna, crystal-clear rivers, and boundless green canopies thrive in perfect, unbroken harmony with gleaming eco-cities nestled high along the mountain ranges. In the grand central plaza of New Fairfield, looking out toward the endless snow-crested peaks of the Sierra Nevada, the eternal flame of the surface vanguard burns brightly beside the timeless bronze likeness of Joel and Boy, reminding every traveler, scholar, and starry-eyed child from across the cosmos that humanity's greatest strength was never found in weapons of destruction, but in the boundless courage to love, to understand, and to face the unknown without freezing in fear. The ancient survival guide, with its hand-drawn monster anatomies and compassionate observations, continues to guide future generations of explorers who venture into deep space, carrying with them the wisdom of Clyde Dutton's unyielding discipline, Minnow's fearless precision, Aimee's healing botanical stewardship, and Boy's immortal canine loyalty. The proud descendants of Boy, still sporting their iconic red bandanas, roam the vibrant meadows and frontier outposts of distant star worlds, forever standing as mankind's most loyal partners in exploration and guardians of the hearth. Across the vast Pacific coastline where Joel once shattered the chains of cruelty, giant bioluminescent leviathans breach peacefully through pristine azure waters under the warm light of the rising sun, acknowledging the watchers on the cliffs with gentle, resonant rumbles of shared freedom. As the golden twilight descends over the majestic mountain ridges, the night sky ignites in an awe-inspiring, cosmic ballet as millions upon millions of celestial sky jellyfish drift serenely into the upper stratosphere, weaving endless rivers of iridescent sapphire, violet, emerald, and liquid gold across the starlit heavens. Standing united beneath this magnificent celestial tapestry, the people of the reclaimed earth look out into the infinite universe with fearless hearts, unshakable unity, and overflowing joy, forever living free in the light, forever guided by the flame of hope, and forever thriving in this grand, boundless, and everlasting world of love and monsters. As the boundless expanse of deep time continues to unfold across the cosmos, the immortal saga of the reclaimed Earth permanently crystallizes into the supreme philosophical cornerstone of all sentient life, celebrated throughout the galaxy as the eternal era of universal stewardship. The historic journey that originated in the damp, claustrophobic subterranean bunkers of Fairfield, sparked by a trembling, fearful young cook who dared to challenge the impossible to reunite with his lost love, has now reached its absolute cosmic zenith, standing as an unyielding testament to the transformative power of empathy, resilience, and unshakable hope. Earth remains the radiant, beating heart of this multi-system commonwealth, an untouched paradise of primeval beauty, soaring crystalline mountain citadels, and sprawling ecological corridors where humanity and colossal megafauna live in unbroken, harmonious communion. In the high alpine towers of New Fairfield, looking out over the timeless, snow-draped summits of the Sierra Nevada, the Grand Council of Planetary Guardians convenes to review the expansive cosmic survey networks that stretch into distant star clusters, ensuring that every newly discovered terrestrial world is approached not as an object of territorial conquest or resource exploitation, but as a sacred living sanctuary to be observed, understood, and preserved with utmost reverence. Deep within the Grand Hall of Ancestors, the sacred relics of the first emergence, Joel Dawson's weathered, hand-drawn creature journal, Clyde Dutton's hand-carved bow, Minnow's polished survival whistle, Aimee's original botanical healing formulas, and the historic crimson bandana of Faithful Boy, rest under shimmering beams of perpetual solar light, drawing millions of pilgrims, scholars, and young rangers from across the stars who come to reflect upon the profound truth that changed the course of destiny, that looking into the eyes of danger with empathy rather than terror can transform conflict into kinship and bridge even the widest divides of the natural world. The legendary survival philosophies of Clyde Dutton, emphasizing acute environmental vigilance, emotional mastery, and unbreakable discipline, alongside the peerless sharpshooting precision and agile scout tactics of General Minnow, remain the foundational core curriculum taught in every interplanetary survival academy, instilling in each new generation the understanding that true strength is rooted in self-possession and deep observation rather than wanton violence. The visionary botanical breakthroughs pioneered by Aimee continue to sustain interstellar ecosystems, with self-regenerating life support grids and bioluminescent flora purifying the atmosphere of every orbital habitat and planetary settlement, ensuring that health, vitality, and balance are universal birthrights enjoyed by all. Across every world where humanity has established living roots, the sacred and heroic lineage of Boy thrives as an enduring symbol of loyalty, courage, and unconditional friendship, with intelligent, golden-coated shepherd hounds proudly wearing crimson bandanas as they guide planetary explorers through uncharted frontiers, safeguard young children in alpine settlements, and rest faithfully beside the evening hearths of free families. Along the pristine Pacific coastline of Earth, where Joel once severed the cruel high-voltage chains binding the giant shore crab, colossal bioluminescent sea titans, radiant manta rays, and playful pods of marine mammals swim freely through crystal-clear azure waters, frequently breaching the surf in gentle, resonant acknowledgement of the human watchers lining the rocky bluffs above. As twilight blankets the majestic mountain ranges and verdant lowlands of the cradle world, the evening sky ignites once more in an awe-inspiring, cosmic ballet as millions upon millions of celestial bioluminescent sky jellyfish ascend gracefully into the starlit stratosphere, weaving spiraling rivers of iridescent sapphire, violet, emerald, and molten gold across the heavens. Standing united beneath this boundless, luminous tapestry of living light, the people of the reclaimed earth and the vast commonwealth look out into the infinite universe with fearless hearts, unshakable unity, and boundless love, forever proud of the courage that led them out of the dark, forever living free in the golden warmth of the sun, and forever thriving in this magnificent, miraculous, and everlasting world of wonder and monsters. Across the infinite stretches of deep cosmic space and the boundless river of eternal time, the grand chronicle of the reclaimed earth achieves its ultimate, immortal synthesis, permanently establishing the philosophical triumph of love, courage, and understanding as the universal destiny of all conscious existence. What began as a desperate, terrifying struggle for raw survival in a broken world of mutated predators and subterranean exile has transformed into the supreme cosmic standard of ecological mastery, interspecies empathy, and fearless enlightenment. The memory of the asteroid Agatha 616, which once threatened to wipe all human life from the face of the planet, is remembered not as an ancient tragedy of doom and devastation, but as the great cosmic crucible that forged humanity's unbreakable spirit, breaking an entire species out of its artificial complacency and teaching it to live in vibrant harmony with the majestic, living universe. In the radiant alpine city of New Fairfield, which stands timelessly beneath the eternal, snow-crested summits of the Sierra Nevada, the Grand Assembly of Universal Stewards convenes in the open-air amphitheater of the First Horizon, welcoming interstellar delegates, planetary scholars, master scouts, and botanical explorers who travel from distant solar systems to immerse themselves in the sacred wisdom of the cradle world. The historic leather-bound journal of Joel Dawson, filled with its original charcoal sketches of monstrous carapaces, tactical weak points, and compassionate insights, sits upon an altar of living crystalline cedar, radiating an aura of simple, unyielding bravery that reminds every soul across the stars that the greatest transformation in human history was ignited not by mighty armies or destructive machines, but by a lonely boy with a trembling heart who chose to conquer his fear and walk into the untamed wilderness for the sake of love. The pragmatic wilderness laws and rigorous disciplines forged by the legendary wasteland veteran Clyde Dutton, combined with the peerless archery accuracy, stealth agility, and tactical brilliance of Master Scout Minnow, remain the foundational moral and physical compass for billions of planetary rangers who explore uncharted extraterrestrial ecosystems without disrupting the native flora or causing harm to foreign megafauna. The revolutionary botanical healing arts and life-sustaining ecological sciences pioneered by Aimee have expanded into a boundless, interstellar network of biospheric terraforming arrays and atmospheric purification lattices that ensure vibrant health, longevity, and perpetual abundance across every inhabited world in the cosmos. Throughout the countless cities, orbital stations, and mountain redoubts of the civilized universe, the heroic bloodline of Faithful Boy continues to flourish as a sacred living beacon of friendship, loyalty, and fearless devotion, with thousands of intelligent, amber-eyed shepherd hounds proudly sporting red collars as they walk beside explorers on distant worlds, guide lost travelers through uncharted planetary canyons, and rest peacefully beside the warm hearths of free families beneath the stars. Back on the pristine terrestrial landscapes of Earth, the colossal megafauna roam in magnificent, undisturbed majesty along continental corridors spanning ancient forests, crystal-clear river valleys, and revitalized coastlines, interacting with humanity's elevated, non-invasive transport networks in effortless, synchronized grace. Along the historic Pacific coastline where Joel once shattered the chains of cruelty, giant bioluminescent leviathans breach peacefully through crystal-clear azure waters under the warm light of the rising sun, acknowledging the watchers on the cliffs with gentle, resonant rumbles of shared freedom. As the golden twilight descends over the majestic mountain ridges, the night sky ignites in an awe-inspiring, cosmic ballet as millions upon millions of celestial sky jellyfish drift serenely into the upper stratosphere, weaving endless rivers of iridescent sapphire, violet, emerald, and liquid gold across the starlit heavens. Standing united beneath this magnificent celestial tapestry, the people of the reclaimed Earth look out into the infinite universe with fearless hearts, unshakable unity, and overflowing joy, forever living free in the light, forever guided by the flame of hope, and forever thriving in this grand, boundless, and everlasting world of love and monsters. At the absolute, timeless zenith of this infinite cosmic continuum, the transcendent saga of the reclaimed Earth seals its eternal place in the tapestry of the universe as the ultimate symphony of life, courage, and unconditional love. The legendary path forged by Joel Dawson, from a trembling, isolated survivor trapped beneath concrete vaults to the immortal pioneer who unlocked the surface of a reborn world, now shines as the brightest philosophical beacon across millions of inhabited worlds, solar systems, and celestial sanctuaries. Humanity, once paralyzed by the terrifying unknown, has permanently dismantled every spiritual and physical barrier that once divided sentient life from the natural wild, evolving into a revered galactic civilization of humble caretakers, fearless observers, and compassionate stewards who walk through the cosmos not to dominate, but to understand, protect, and harmonize with every living creation. The cradle world of Earth, kept in pristine, eternal resonance, stands as the sacred living museum and spiritual capital of this boundless interstellar commonwealth, where towering redwood sanctuaries, crystalline mountain spires, and azure oceans thrive without a single trace of toxic corruption or manufactured devastation. In the high alpine terraces of New Fairfield, where the mountain air remains permanently crisp, sweet, and fragrant with blooming mountain wildflowers, the Great Hall of the Starlit Vanguard welcomes pilgrims, philosophers, and master scouts who gather before the golden reliquary containing Joel's original, worn monster field journal, Clyde Dutton's historic recurve bow, Minnow's polished silver survival whistle, Aimee's original botanical seed capsules, and the timeless red bandana worn by Faithful Boy. These sacred relics remind every generation of the immortal, foundational truth that changed the destiny of the human species, that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it through empathy, love, and unwavering resolve. The pragmatic survival laws and acute environmental disciplines forged by Clyde Dutton, combined with the legendary sharpshooting precision and agile wilderness navigation of Minnow, remain the sacred ethical foundation of every deep space ranger and planetary explorer who journeys beyond the known stars. The visionary botanical sciences and healing methodologies founded by Aimee continue to sustain interstellar life, with living bioluminescent gardens, natural aerosol purification grids, and self-renewing atmospheric domes bringing perpetual health, longevity, and peaceful abundance to all corners of the cosmos. The heroic, loving bloodline of Boy remains an eternal, cherished living legacy, with thousands of intelligent, amber-coated shepherd hounds proudly wearing crimson bandanas as they guide planetary explorers through uncharted alien frontiers, safeguard young children in alpine settlements, and rest faithfully beside the evening hearths of free families across the stars. Across the majestic terrestrial wilderness of Earth, colossal land titans, armored carapace mega-beasts, and ancient river leviathans roam in untamed, peaceful majesty along protected continental sanctuaries, coexisting effortlessly with humanity's zero-emission crystalline sky cities and elevated transit ways. Along the sun-drenched Pacific coastline where Joel once severed the cruel high-voltage chains binding the giant shore crab, colossal bioluminescent sea titans and radiant marine pods